Hi there and welcome to the Dawn Show. Dawn Stensland-Menti here. So I want you to be beautiful, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, whoever you are, you need to be beautiful. And we've got the man in the house to help all of our men look a little bit better. So some grooming tips from the expert, from the man, Jamal Rainey, who's the owner of To Be Groomed Studios and the co-owner of Trim Philadelphia. That's your latest venture coming out. What does TRIM stand for?
It stands for Tradition Restored in Men.
Ooh.
Acronym.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I love your backstory and how much you pay tribute to your mom, who, when you were 10 years old, you get your allowance money. A lot of boys nowadays are thinking of video games. You're 10 years old and you go buy something that changes your life, really.
Yeah. So my mom used to send me to the store all the time. Woolworths used to be across the street from our house. And I used to always see wall clippers, and they had a picture of a woman with her son cutting his hair. And so, I've seen this image countless times behind the counter. And one day I just decided to purchase that box.
With your allowance money?
With my money, yeah.
So then by the time you're 15, you're working in a barbershop, so you're a hardworking kid.
Yeah.
You go on to 2 different schools, so this is in your blood, and now you're a business owner.
Yeah.
And what do you think is the #1 mistake that men make in particular with their grooming, with their hair, with their skincare?
I would say they just don't know the essential preparation that's needed. A lot of times men are on the go and they do things too fast, or in some cases they just don't know the right technique. In some cases, just not knowing the proper product,
And speaking of that, and this is no joke, this is what I buy for my husband Larry.
Right.
So I'll admit, so it's the Dove Men Plus Care, and the reason I got it was
It smells great, right?
Oh, it smells so
Yeah,
good,
it
and
smells
he
good.
won't wear the nice colognes I buy him but
Right.
so this is nice, and it's actually a nice quality product.
And it's pretty simple to use too. A lot of times, guys, we don't want anything that's too fussy and too
Right.
busy. And Dove has done a great job with creating some different variances of satisfying some of the needs that we have. I know the guys come into our barbershop and we see all different kinds of skin types, and dry or oily. But most commonly, the thinning. A lot of guys have thinning issues, and they've done a great job with the replenishing shampoo. Yeah,
And
it's
that's
really
nice, and it does work.
Yeah, it does. It creates like a thick hair thickening, ultimately, and it has calcium in it. And so it works well with that.
Because if you take care of the scalp and all, then the hair isn't brittle and doesn't break, but also you're helping promote that hair growth
Well,
too.
ultimately, it kind of slows the process down, the thinning process down. That's kind of how it works.
So then you go into the skincare. So take me through the skincare for the men.
So the facial wash that Dove has created is very simple. It replenishes and it rejuvenates, but it ultimately, once again, guys are really big on smell, and it's scented. It's in it like crazy. So, if you think about how men like cologne, so we kind of shop for products that we use on ourselves, kind of like how we shop for cologne a little bit.
Okay.
Very scent-oriented approach.
Now, do you have clients who come back to you and say, "Oh, I got stopped by this lady, and she said you smell so good"?
Oh yeah, yeah. I actually had a guy who got a compliment on the facial wash that he used. I gave him a sample of the Dove wash, and she loved it. But she thought it was a cologne that he was wearing. But actually, his face smelled good.
Nice. And then what's this over here?
This is I believe the post-sensitive. This is the sensitive shave cream gel.
And that is so great.
Yeah. So this is basically for guys who have
That's this one right here.
sensitive skin. A lot of times guys have ingrown hairs. In some cases, what they have is like a combination of dry, oily, and sometimes the gel can be more of a coolant, and allows them to kind of have the benefits of shaving properly, and at the same time enjoying kind of the benefits of having a good product being used in incorporation with that. So
yeah, if I don't get the sensitive skin one, then my husband's like, "You got the wrong one."
yeah,
because
well,
it does
counts.
make that
Yeah,
difference.
it makes a big difference. Makes a big difference. In some cases, if you use the wrong product, then you might not be shaving properly in some cases. So
What's the biggest mistake, the biggest faux pas that men make in just grooming themselves?
Taking it for granted. Taking it for granted, not realizing the importance of a regimen, which ultimately conditions everything else, So it's like, if you don't practice it, you can't really enjoy it.
Something you said to me before the show, you talked about the retro, that you're actually kind of taking people back to maybe the 1940s and that look, and that's really in right now.
Well, a lot of the hairstyles are much a throwback to a time that once was, So what you see now with the advent of Mad Men, the Hugh Jackman haircut and things of that nature, or the crew cut, where the guys wear it low and short and tight, all these things are, times from the past. You go back to the 1930s, 40s, even 50s, if you would. They really kind of are the indicator of kind of how everything is really just a cycle, from hair care to fashion. It's all very much in that balance.
Now your fiance's here. Who gives who tips? Do you give her tips on dressing and things like that, or
I do. I have, yeah. And but at the same time, she's a
beautiful lady. We'll show her another show.
No question about it. But she's definitely she has her own sense of style, and it's unique. It's classy. She's a classy woman. Absolutely.
Well, I think you make a good couple. And I think that's part of it, that when you look good and feel good, you have a good relationship, I really think that it matters. I mean, it all goes together.
Absolutely. Once again, when you're trying to attract, the opposite sex, then you need to be well polished.
And you are well polished.
Thank you. Appreciate
Jamal,
that.
thank you so much. We've got to have you back and talk about especially colors, like the color blue and what color is right for you. So that'll be in another time, in another show. But congratulations to all your success.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jamal.
Thank you.
Dawn Show continues right after this with fall and winter looks for women.